Afrique et du Programme des Nations Unies du PNUD. Ce 13e Forum économique international sur l'Afrique, organisé sur le thème global « Tirer parti des ressources naturelles pour la transformation économique », nous donne l'occasion de débattre des questions qui préoccupent les dirigeants africains. Mais mon intervention de ce matin porte, comme demandé, sur le thème suivant: les perspectives de développement du continent africain, défis et opportunités pour la Côte d'Ivoire, le rôle que pourrait jouer l'OCDE. Il faut à juste titre rappeler, c'est ce que M. Angel Gouria a souligné tout à l'heure, que les experts internationaux s'accordent à reconnaître que l'Afrique, notamment l'Afrique subsaharienne, connaît une robuste croissance économique. En effet, l'Afrique subsaharienne enregistre d'importants progrès économiques. Cela s'est traduit par un taux de croissance de l'ordre de 5,4% en 2011, 4,9% en 2012, 5,1% estimé en 2013, soit une moyenne d'au moins 5%, supérieure à la moyenne mondiale qui se situe autour de 3%. Les projections de 2014 tablent sur une croissance de 5,9% contre 3,8% pour la moyenne mondiale. Ces résultats s'expliquent principalement par la stabilité politique enregistrée dans plusieurs États africains grâce notamment aux efforts entrepris par la Commission de l'Union africaine et les différentes organisations sous-régionales en faveur de la paix, et ce, en complément des efforts des pays africains. Autre élément, la stabilité macroéconomique, avec une réduction drastique du déficit budgétaire, qui est passé de moins de 5% du PIB en 2009 à moins de 1% du PIB en 2012. La mise en œuvre de profondes réformes structurelles dans la plupart des pays africains, notamment la libéralisation des économies et les politiques de privatisation, qui ont permis au secteur privé de jouer un rôle moteur de la croissance économique. L'exploitation d'un important potentiel en ressources agricoles, minières, minérales dans certains pays. En effet, comme souligné tout à l'heure par M. Angel Gouria, le continent africain regorge du quart des ressources naturelles de la planète. La formation accélérée d'un grand nombre de cadres dans maints domaines est un élément aussi important à souligner. Ces résultats encourageants devront être maintenus dans le moyen et long terme pour réellement modifier de manière plus radicale l'avenir de notre continent. En effet, l'Afrique ne participe que de façon encore bien marginale à la globalisation des échanges commerciaux, à hauteur seulement de 3,3%. En outre, le commerce interrégional, constitue seulement 13% du commerce du continent, contre 70,6% en Europe, 52,8% en Asie, 48,3% en Amérique du Nord, 26,7% en Amérique du Sud et centrale, 19,5% au sein des communautés des États indépendants. Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs, pour consolider les résultats et les améliorer substantiellement, l'Afrique doit relever de grands défis. Le premier défi est de parvenir à une intégration économique plus poussée. À cet égard, les États africains sont appelés à mettre en œuvre des politiques d'intégration sous-régionale et régionale afin de promouvoir des centres concentriques de développement appelés à s'intégrer dans un marché plus dynamique, plus fort et de plus en plus large et intégré. Ainsi, il est impératif de renforcer les blocs sous-régionaux et régionaux que constituent les organisations actuelles. Ce sont, vous le savez, la Communauté économique des États de l'Afrique de l'Ouest, la CEDEAO, le marché commun de l'Afrique australe et orientale, la COMESA, l'Union du Maghreb.
The economic and the CMAC and the SADC. In the long term, these regional blocs should lead to an African common market, which we all wish for. The second major challenge is employment. I think this was talked about as well by Mr. Angel Gouria. In 2050, Africa will have 25% of the labor pool in the global labor pool. The African population should go up to 2.4 billion in 2050. That's doubling its current population, and the world population will go from 7.8 to 9.6 in 2013 and 2050, respectively. Now, that needs us to respond in economic terms, in terms of focusing on economic growth to be able to generate more stable employment into the future. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, in terms of the West African economic community, once again, this has to be strengthened for more solidarity-based economic growth benefiting the majority. This Commission is a political and economic entity bringing together 15 states, 300,000 inhabitants that speak 3 languages, English, French, and Portuguese.
Au plan politique,
on the political level, Lasser Ouattara, His Excellency, is currently president of ECOWAS. The work undertaken by ECOWAS, with the support of the international community, including France, has enabled us to make major headway, notably in resolving conflicts in Mali and in Guinea-Bissau. There are now elections planned for the end of 2013 in Guinea-Bissau. The major challenge that ECOWAS faces is to guarantee and ensure that a space exists for peace, stability, and development. That therefore these countries continue to work in a viable economic space. The growth rate for this year is around 7.7% as against 6.6% in 2012, and the reforms underway have focused on bolstering that regional integration through goods and people diversification. The idea is to create one single currency, which will be done by 2020. There are also major infrastructure projects underway in terms of notably building the Abidjan-Lagos motorway and then extending that to Abidjan-Dakar roads, the coastal motorway, moving from Abidjan, Ouagadougou and Niamey. We have train networks that we're developing as well for Benin, Burkina, Côte d'Ivoire, Ghana, Nigeria, and Togo, that should be extended through Côte d'Ivoire, Guinea, and Mali as well. We have a whole series of electrical and gas-based connection projects as well, the West African Power Pool being one of those. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, in terms of Côte d'Ivoire, because that is what I'm focusing on, in order to be able to carry out the vision of our head of state to ensure that Côte d'Ivoire is an emerging country in the future, that at this stage we are focusing on our 2012-2015 National Development Plan. The government is currently rolling or preparing the groundwork for its 2016-2020 development plan and looking as far as 2040 to try to develop long-term consolidation. The aim is to have a more industrialized economic basis whereby we can build on added value and significantly increase the proportion of manufactured processed goods in our export base, all the while drawing the best benefit that we can from the strong natural resources that we have in agricultural, mining, and oil and gas terms. In this regard, we have instated more attractive investment codes with a mining code and an investment code. In that regard, we have an ICT code as well. So we're working on all these areas. The aim is to develop linkages between those who are focusing on transformation and processing in mining and agriculture. The aim, again, being to focus on stable employment aimed specifically at young people and women. The aim is to reduce poverty by half by 2015. In order to be able to reach this economic aim, the government has instated a number of initiatives to ensure political and social cohesion in the country. The 3 main pillars upon which the government is working is peace and security. That's one of them. National reconciliation and social cohesion, second one. and a third one based on economic growth. In terms of peace and security, the actions undertaken have enabled the state to engage in positive relations with its other ECOWAS members and to ensure better protection for people and goods. So the security has increased. The security index in our country has improved in our country. Insecurity has gone down to the index is 1.4% in 2013. Major embassies and major multinational corporations welcomed this. Most of them had externalized their activities following the post-electoral crisis, but they have now taken up their quarters in Abidjan once again. The ADB has also progressively moved back into our country since July 2013, isn't it? And UNESCO has also set up its offices there in September 2013. In terms of national reconciliation and social cohesion, the activities undertaken by the National Truth and Dialogue Reconciliation Commission, based on the South African equivalent, are also bolstered by direct talks between government and political parties. These actions taken together contribute to progressive and fast normalization of the political climate, which is necessary as a prerequisite for peace and stability, which has been a past characteristic of my country. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it's in the field of economics that we have made the most concrete steps. So we've undertaken sectoral and structural reform, which have enabled us to ensure 9.8% economic growth rates for 2012, 8.7 estimates for 2013, and a forecast of 8.10% in 2014, 10% in 2015. These are some of the highest rates for economic growth in Africa, not to speak of the world. The main boosters for economic growth in our country are investment, exports, and end-user consumption. In other words, the aims of our government is to strongly focus on investment. Investment was 13.7% of GDP in 2012, and it should be for 18.1% in 2013, and there is a forecast or aim of 25% in 2015. This investment should be driven by the international private sector, national and international private sector. Coming back onto capital markets is also another aim, so that we can garner resources to speed up investment. The aim is to lay down the groundwork for the best possible climate for investment in Africa, drawing in the best inventors there. In terms of the assessment carried out by the World Bank for 2012, the results were 3.1 out of 6 against 2.9 in 2011 in terms of rating the climate for investment. We continue to improve the business investment climate through the Millennium Challenge Corporation, amongst other things. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, Côte d'Ivoire is back on the scene, and we want to continue to be an engine for West African economic growth, and we are one of the main partners of ECOWAS, with 15 countries and 300 million inhabitants, as well as YMU. ECOWAS accounts for 23% of trade in Côte d'Ivoire, and we hope to be able to increase that trade because of the actions undertaken to facilitate the freedom of movement of peoples and goods in that region. So it's very important that we strengthen our region, because the world has fundamentally changed.